Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tour My Garden with me. Today I'm going to do just a garden tour of my outside garden. I actually filmed one yesterday, but when I came home today a bunch of new stuff had sprouted up. So I'm just going to show you all of that really quick just to sort of update you on where we are. I did just release the other video, but it was just of my indoor plants. So we're going to do the outdoor plants now. Let's go. Okay, so here's my raspberry bush that doesn't produce actual edible raspberries, but they're either not ripe or they're burnt. So for example, so you can see here, there's one undone one here, and then a burnt one right there. And I think it's just because it's so hot. They just get crispy during the daytime, which is really disappointing because they're not very good when they're this crispy. So it's sort of gross. Then here are my little parsleys. I just watered them, that's why they kind of look sad. But that's just because the water fell on them. And then here is my little berry bush. I think it's a boysenberry, but I sort of forgot what it is and I threw away the sign. Then right here is my little snug moriel, which is doing really well. These guys are being eaten by someone, and I don't know who. Then my feverfew. And I'm actually going to pull out this kale. And when I do that, I just sort of do it the barbarian way, and I just kind of grab it and knock off the excess dirt. And then we're going to take that to the sheep in just a minute. All of this is doing great. That's just my chives, parsley and oregano. Then here, all of these thunbergias and beans are doing great. See how they're climbing up their little trellis? In my greenhouse, the kale's doing super well. Then my kohlrabis are also doing really well. The lemon cucumbers are doing great. The lettuce hasn't come up at all, but I'm not surprised. My Armenian cucumbers are doing fabulous, and my cabbage is still doing nothing at all. So not much has changed in here. My ananas tomato has all these blooms. I'm gonna get a ton of tomatoes from this. All right, now here's where the growth starts. So all of these have been the same, but I just arrange them sometimes so that they'll sit here. But anyway, my zucchini. I swear to you, these were not that big this morning. They just grew so much while I was at work. It's amazing. Like, they're actually an edible size now, which is great. So right now I have those two big ones that are sort of ready to eat, and then this little one's growing still. And then over here, I have my, what I'm sure is spaghetti squash. I got this big one here and then a couple of smaller ones right there. And everything here is going really well. They didn't dry out too much today, actually, even though it was super hot again. So I'm really happy about that. And then I staked up the cucumbers so they now go up here. And I hope that they're going to keep growing upwards on these bamboo poles that I got. And then I got another zucchini here, which is actually coming from this tiny little plant, which, as you can see, is super small still, but it's producing a zucchini, so that's really cool. Then I have another squash down here, and also happy to report that look at that. I mean, I think that's going to be a real cucumber, and I think this one is also, so I'm super excited. Here's an example of what they look like when they don't get pollinated. So they just kind of get this weird color, and you know they haven't been pollinated if they look like this, and they just kind of fall right off, like they're not, you know, viable for life anymore. So this is the unhealthy one. Put that next to a healthy one so you can see the color difference. You know, one's that kind of nice pale green and other one's just yellow. Here are my beautiful sunflowers. They're all starting to kind of lose it now, and I'm just going to cut off the heads and dry the seeds. I'm going to save some seeds and I'm just going to snack on some. Same up here, and you can kind of tell when these parts come off, and you can see that they're kind of got that black and white look already, which is pretty cool. Everything, my ground cover here is doing super well. My camera's having a really hard time focusing on anything. All of this is thriving, and I'm actually, hold on, I did spy some berries on here. Look at that. I'm gonna have some berries off this plant this year. Then I'm gonna have a bunch of little tomatoes right here. So they're all growing. Then I got a bunch more here and there and up here and here. I mean, it might not be rich in money, but I am gonna be rich in tomatoes. And then here, these are my big ones. So this is the oldest one, and I'm still waiting for that one to get ripe. I just can't wait to finally eat it. Then I got some pretty big ones right here also, and over back there, and here. And then my beans, and I don't know if I have any actual beans growing on it yet. No, it doesn't look like it. Oh, some very, very tiny little dinky beans. And then here, I don't think there's any fruit on this one yet. And then my tiny little hidden squash. I don't know if it's producing anything yet, but I don't think so. It barely produced a flower, so. Then up here is my most recent construction. So I put up the fence to keep the dogs out of my yard because, you know, they dug it up like 800,000 times. So I put a little field fence around it to keep them out. It is so ineffective, it's shocking. But at least he gives me some time to catch Frank before he gets in there, and I can yell at him, and then usually, sometimes, about 30% of the time, he stops. So, I'm just gonna open my little gate and go in. Alright, so here is a new cucumber that I got. I just bought it at the store. I think, yep, I did get it at Walmart. So it's just a burpless bush hybrid variety, which I'm excited for. I think my kohlrabi is about ready to come out. I'm going to pull this little baby one also. It just hasn't done anything. And then I'm probably going to plant some other stuff that's in my greenhouse right now here. Then I have my first little pepper bloom. So I'm going to get a pepper soon, I hope. Then all of my basils are kind of blooming, which they shouldn't. And I might just sort of snip it off, and then I'll probably throw that in some food that I have for tomorrow. I'm just gonna set that up here. I still got these carrots that I need to pull out. I got my petunias here. They're still looking really, really sad, but you know, petunias, I feel like whenever I get them on sale, they do look sad for quite some time, but eventually they recover and then they look awesome. My bok choys that I replanted are doing really well. I'm going to insert a little video of what this looked like before we fixed it. And it was actually really late at night that we fixed it. And I'm really glad my boyfriend helped me do it, which is good because I kind of just have a habit of throwing things together and being like, oh, this will do. But thanks to him, I have some really nice boards. And it's all solid because before you could kind of move it a little. You can't anymore. Then here, very sad looking little squash. It's just a yellow summer squash. And I got it at the grocery store and all their plants are dying, but see, it does have some teeny tiny new growth. So I have hope for it. You know, everyone deserves a second chance. Then I got these two on sale, so that's why I have so many of these. Same with this one. They all look pretty sad when I got them, but they're already doing great. Then here's my little trellis with my cucumber that just does not want to grow the way that I want it to. It just always tries to go somewhere else, and then I put it back up here and then it falls back down. So I'm gonna have to put that up somehow so it stays and keeps crawling up the trellis. I do have some beans here, which is really exciting. So I have this little thing, and then I got a bunch more here. Then I have some pretty big ones already down here, so I'm really excited for that. They're all supposed to be stringless. I don't know if you've had string beans. I mean, I think everyone has and everyone hates them. It's just disgusting. Then here are my ground cherries that I planted the other day. This is what happens. They try to break into the fence. Tuna, the fence is here to keep you out, Tuna. Come here. See, so it doesn't really do much. So this is the other side of my trellis. Then I have my biggest spaghetti squash here, and I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to be ripe. Here are some more petunias that are still looking a little sad, but you know, just like the others, they're going to do great. They've already got tons of new little flowering flower heads. Up here, I have my little spaghetti squash, of course. I got one that's growing here. This here is an example of one of the ones that didn't pollinate, so they just sort of shrivel up like this. There's the cat. Here is my best marigold. If you just kind of take off the dead parts and get rid of them, it actually helps it have more blooms. So this one has just been growing vigorously. Tuna! Hey, psst, psst, psst. Tuna, get out of there. Anyway, I still have to cut my arugula that's still totally overgrown and wild. I might actually do that once I'm done filming this. And then my parsley, my little forest of parsley up here. is doing great. And I have so much parsley right now. It's amazing. Got another spaghetti squash. A really big bean that's sort of squished here by its own stalk. Got a crazy cat. This is the other tomato that I'm super excited about. It's the San Marzano kinds that are really good for sauces. They just have a really great sweet flavor. And there's already some tomatoes. Look at these things. So they're going to be ripe probably in a couple of weeks or so. Then I have another tomato plant, which is going to get blooms. These are all just the tomato plants that I rescued from down where the sunflowers are. So not too exciting. I mean, exciting, you know, but they're not a special variety or anything like that. Then this is a squash, but I don't think there's any fruit. Nope, there's no fruits, no blooms. A bunch more tomatoes, a bunch more beans. I'm going to have a lot of bean salads and tomato salads this year, I think. And then this is another squash plant, and it has a fruit. If I could get to it. Oh, do you see that? There we go. Right there. I think it's a gourd. It's not a squash, but I think I can eat it. I could definitely try it. I'm actually going to trim some of these leaves in the next few days, probably on the weekend, just to make sure that this gets some good airflow and that it doesn't drown out the other plants, because it kind of is right now. It's also starting to get really windy again, I'm sorry, but that's just what happens here in the evenings. And then down here in these squash plants, there's flowers, but no fruit. No female flowers anyway, just the males, which, as you know, don't really produce fruit. They just help to pollinate. This tomato here desperately needs to be trimmed. This is way too much foliage. And if you leave that much foliage on your tomato, it'll actually cause diseases, or I guess make them more likely. But right here, we have a tiny little dink baby tomato. So that's cool. Alright, and just after I got done telling you how Paco is not a danger to my garden beds, here he is, sneaking around. So yeah, that's it for today. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching another video and joining me on my garden tour. I'm gonna try to keep up with it now because things are really happening. I just feel like every day that I come home, things have gotten bigger, and where there wasn't a fruit before, suddenly there is one. Also, I hope that my tomatoes are gonna start ripening soon. And once that I have a bunch of fruits that are ready to go, I'm thinking about making like a recipe video of what you can make with the stuff that you've grown. Because generally I do eat a lot of meals that come just from my yard, especially when my lettuce was ready. I was doing that like every time I was having dinner. Every dinner was just like a big salad with everything that I got from my yard, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know, it really thrills me when I can go, oh, this is all from my yard. Or like I'll get eggs from like a friend. And yeah, that sort of makes it worth it to me, is that you can eat a meal that's just from your yard, which just kind of feels good. That's it for today. Thanks so much again for watching. Like I said, you can like and subscribe. It's really exciting. I have 12 subscribers now, which is awesome. So I think only 50% of those subscribers are my family members. So so yeah, shout out to all my family. That's cool. Yeah, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.